Hey guys, this is part 2 of geometry when it comes to linear measure and precision. In previous videos, I spoke about what a line is and how it's represented with the two arrowheads at the end. And then I spoke about what a segment is, which sort of looks like a line. It is a line, but it's basically a definitive line where the endpoints allow you to measure what that segment is. So in this video, I am going to talk about whether or not segments are congruent and what that looks like when we draw shapes. So let's go ahead and get started. So say for instance, I have a parallelogram, and we'll say this is A, B, C, D, and we'll say this is 3 centimeters. And then we'll say this is 4 centimeters. So if you were given a problem like this and say it asks for a segment is represented AB with the line on the top and CD, the question would be determine whether these segments are congruent. And the way you would write if something is congruent sort of looks like an equal sign, the little tilde on the top. So if we say that AB segment is congruent to CD segment, this is what it would look like. So let's determine if these two segments are congruent. And congruent just means they have the same measure. They're the same. So if we look at AB, that is 4 centimeters. If we look at CD, that is 4 centimeters. So yes, that is true. AB is congruent to CD. So that's how this works. So if we look at AC and BD, we see that AC is 3 centimeters and we see that BD is 3 centimeters. So you can say that segment AC is congruent to BD. Super simple. Let's move on to the next problem. Okay, for our next problem, let's try a triangle. Say we have an isosceles triangle where two sides are the same. So we could say this is 6, 6, and 8. So say, for instance, this is 6 feet long, 6 feet, and 8 feet. And we could say E points E, F, and G. And the question is for EF, segment EF, and FG, are these congruent? So if we look at EF, and then if we look at FG, we see that that's 8 feet. So these are not congruent, meaning they're not the same. However, if I were to ask you EF, segment EF, and segment EG, EF is 6 feet and EG is 6 feet. So we'll say that these segments, segment EF, is congruent to EG. Super simple. Let's try another graph or another drawing. Okay, say we have a square where all sides are the same, say 6 meters. We have W, X, Y, and Z. And say the question is for WX and XY, are these congruent? Meaning, is a measure the same? So if we look at WX, we see that that's 6 meters. If we look at XY, we see that that's 6 meters. So we will say segment WX is congruent. That's an equal sign with a little tilde or squiggly at the top. It's congruent to segment XY. All right, let's try another problem. Okay, say we're given a problem that looks like this. That was not good. And you see two lines like this, which means these sides are the same. And say we have N, P, M, L. And let's say this is 1.75 inches. This is 0.75 inches. And then we have 0.75. Now, if you see two lines like this is basically telling you that this side is the same as that side. So you can automatically go ahead and put 0.75 inches here. And then, so what if it was asking you about segment MP and LM? So if we look at segment NP, that is 1.75 inches, and then LM is 0.75 inches. So these two are not congruent, meaning they're not the same measure. All right, let's try one more problem. Okay, our last problem, we'll go back to the beginning with another parallelogram. All right, let's say we have A, B, C, D. Let's just say this is 5 centimeters. And let's just say 4 centimeters. And say I'm asking about segment AB and BC. So as you can see, segment AB is 5 centimeters. Segment BC is 4 centimeters. So these are not congruent. But if I were to ask you about AB and DC, both are 5 centimeters. So this will be AB segment is congruent to DC. So again, these are just the building blocks of geometry. This is very simple. It looks very easy, but as we go along, we're just going to keep building on this. So I want to make sure that you get the fundamentals before we move forward in the rest of these lessons. So I hope this helps. If it helped you, send it to someone else, and we'll see you in the next video.